Hey everyone, it's Creative. Back again with another game of Bant Humans. This time we'll be up against Moneypile, so we'll see how we can do. It's going to be pretty tough though because of how much value Moneypile is able to produce. Alright, so opening hand looks pretty good. I got a turn 1 play. I do have some taxing effects though. It is pretty hard to tax elementals because they don't really care about non-creature spell taxing since they're all creatures. And they can play them for free, so then they can play them early. Hopefully these meddling mages will do, or not meddling mages, unsettled mariners will help protect my board. So first up, let's go ahead and play the Esper Sentinel. Maybe they'll try to ramp and I'll probably not get a card off of it, but I'll tax them in a way. My opponent cracks a fetch land, probably to get a triumph of some sort. Sure enough. All right, hopefully my opponent can't do anything here, or oh, they're about to do something. Looks like a prismatic ending. Yep, so that's not the greatest, but at least they're tapped down, though I'm sure there's not much they would have played otherwise. All right, well, at least I can get all the different types of lands I need on the board here, and I'll play out a Mariner probably, just to protect itself since he can't Solitude right away. If I would have played the Thalia, then I would be vulnerable to a Solitude, and that would have been terrible. Though sometimes I wonder if it's better for them to play the Solitude on my turn because at least they get a card down. It's just they're never down on cards long enough. There's the ramp. All right, so here I like to attack first, even if it's not the most efficient thing to do. I just don't want to play something and then have something killed in response. I want to get the little bit of damage I can early on. That way, if the game ends up being pretty close, that's where I'm really going to win. It's just keeping it close, keeping their life down as far as possible so that when they start to stabilize, I'm in position to hopefully kill them when they tap out. After I make the hit, I will probably play the Esper Sentinel because I like to make sure that if they are going to do something, that I might get a card off of it. And if not, maybe they'll kill the Esper Sentinel before my other cards come into play. We'll just have to see. Okay, so here they counter it, which is fine. That means I can play my Thalia out. And she's relatively protected in my turn because of Unsettled Mariner. So this is probably the best taxing position I can be in. If they play a Teferi this turn, then it's going to cost them all 4 mana, and they won't have enough to pay to pop one of my characters or one of my creatures back up. Like I mentioned earlier, let's try to get some damage in. And then just really commit to the taxing strategy. In the end step, my opponent is going to play a Dress Down, which is terrible. I had all this taxing out, and he just is able to make them all a bunch of bears. Well, except for Thalia, who's a weak bear. In his turn, he'll play a Wrenn 6. Bad news for Thalia. I always think it's kind of weird seeing Dress Down in a 5-color deck, but I guess they can really have whatever cards they want. Dress Down as a sideboard card makes sense to me, but I don't know, maybe it makes sense main deck too. There is a lot of Urza Saga decks, so kill all the artifact creatures pretty easily with that. It just happens to work out pretty well for him here. My opponent fetches, well, I guess he's going to be able to fetch for any creature he really wants. So I guess it might be a Fury or a Solitude here, since my Mariners aren't really doing anything, thanks to Dress Down. But instead they get Omnath. That's kind of odd. I would have thought they would have tried to wipe my board here. Makes me wonder if they have Furies in Solitude's main board, but I mean, it's a Yorion deck, so I feel like they should. Last chance to kill my guys, chooses not to. So my Mariners are back online. So now I'm stuck in a position Do I ignore Wrenn and 6 and just try to get as aggressive as possible? I know that they have Omnath in hand, so I guess I'm going to have to just bet against them getting a land, and therefore I'm going to kill Wrenn and 6. They'll play the Omnath, and hopefully they don't have a land to play. A fetch land at least. That'd be the worst case scenario. But you know, it's an 80 card deck, so they probably have it. No reason not to play the Lieutenant here. Definitely will kill Wrenn and 6, and I'll get an extra point of damage in against my opponent. I'm not going to crack my fetch land because I might need it to benefit from the Rallier. Get rid of Wrenn and 6, get my opponent down to 8. Pass the turn. I expect an Omnath to drop here. Delivers as promised. And then please do not have a fetch land. And yeah, it doesn't look like they did. Would have liked to see a land there. Going to offer a trade with my Unsettled Mariner. If they don't take it, then great, that's 8 points of damage. If they do take it, great, hopefully they don't have another Omnath. But it's an 80 card deck, so they probably have it. They choose to take the damage. That's good, good, good. That's where I want to be. They're about to be in that key turn where they might stabilize, and therefore the game will be totally out of my reach. But you know, if we get them down this low, then there's still a chance. Still a chance. Here comes the Solitude. Just going to throw it in through Evoke. Have plenty of land mana to pay my tax. Still in a good position though. Except they are going to kill my Unsettled Mariner. Okay. Well, hopefully they don't have another land or another kill spell. Oh, that's pretty good with an extra land. I can play both of my creatures. I'll put out Thalia first. That way the player can't use his 1 mana effectively. Boost up my guys. Put my Renegade Rallier. Going to put both of my lieutenants in a position to kill my opponent. And I'll go ahead and return my Unsettled Mariner to provide even further protection. Of course, if they had a Solitude, they could use it right now. But they don't. So I think that's going to wrap up the game. I have what looks to be a 5/5 and a 4/4. Swinging with both. And eke out the win. See if we can pull that off again. I definitely want Lavinia over Thalia, so I'm going to switch those out. Lavinia is great at stopping an early Fury or Solitude, which is something I worry about in this matchup. And then you'll see that I'll waffle here for a very long time, ultimately deciding to take out 1 Reflector Mage for 1 touch of the Spirit Realm. I'm absolutely certain that is going to matter a whole bunch. Looking at my opening hand, this is pretty terrible. I have 1 mana, and if my Noble dies, I won't be able to play anything for a minute, so we're going to go ahead and pass on this. And then this one's pretty good. I have a 1-drop, a 2-drop that's Lavinia, which will be hopefully pretty helpful here against maybe a Solitude or a Fury. So we'll put back my Lieutenant and see what we can do. My opponent starts out by ramping. And playing something I'm used to seeing in blue-red. I hate how 4-color can just do whatever they want. We'll start by playing my Sentinel. He has 15,000 ways to kill the Sentinel without giving me a card, but might as well put it out there since it's a 1-drop. Hopefully this isn't a Wrenn and 6. Even if it is, at least I get to tax him. Does not look like a Wrenn and 6. Oh, Prismatic Ending. Well, that's good to see early on. That means my Lavinia doesn't have to worry about that card. Go ahead and get Lavinia out. Now, hopefully this will allow me to start putting the pressure on my opponent. We'll have to see. Maybe a Teferi bounce will happen. Look, Teferi bounce. Well, going second against this deck is so hard. I'm already in a bad spot. I'm not able to put any pressure on. My taxing has been of no effect. I really haven't caused a hiccup in their plays at all. I'll put Lavinia back out. That way they just can't put out a Solitude for free. They'll have to pay the mana, hopefully. This is like taking all the best cards from Is It Murktide, except for not having the Murktide. I wonder if they have monkeys in the deck. Another Prismatic Ending. There goes my Lavinia. That's too bad. Well, at least I will have a Collected Company to set up in their own turn. So hopefully that'll let me kill off Teferi and establish a board presence that might make it difficult for them. They are down to 4 cards, but not for long. It had occurred to me here that my opponent was playing Counterspell and they had all these great Is It Murktide cards. So I decided I was going to play the Collected Company now. I'm going to get both of these Ralliers. Unfortunately, my creatures I played earlier were killed off with Prismatic Endings, so there's nothing in the graveyard except for lands for me to get. It allows me to ramp, but I'm not really ramping into anything, but at least it's going to let me thin out my deck, hypothetically. So I think it's not bad here. I'm going to end up having, let's see, 3 threats on the field. And I'll have this protection here with the Unsettled Mariner. So hopefully this turns the game around for me. Hopefully they haven't drawn some Furies. I haven't seen any yet, so hopefully they just don't have any. All right, my opponent doesn't have any plays, so maybe that means he had a bunch of counters in the hand. Go ahead and protect myself from counters and put out a big boy here. Really, really like this card, and don't see a lot of people play it, but I think it's pretty sweet in my deck. All right. So let's go ahead and try to kill off this Teferi. And then I'll send some incidental, or I guess I'm not sending any incidental damage to the opponent. I must be afraid of the snake. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh man, and I think in hindsight I conceded too early. I think it was just so demoralizing I quit. I shouldn't have done that, but that was pretty brutal. All right, so I think my sideboard is as best as it can be. I really don't have the Lavinias are what I'm really banking on to help me establish the board presence early. I see I'm still waffling on these Touch of the Spirit Realms. I take out the Reflector Mages, probably because I don't see any value in really bouncing a lot of the elementals, and I put more protection in. All right, my starting hand looks pretty good. I have a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop with a sack land, and I have Collected Company rounded out. So I can't ask for a better set of cards than that. I'll go ahead and play out my Noble, and hopefully, well, it doesn't really matter if she lives or not because I'm not going to play a 3-cost spell next turn. I'm probably just going to play this Unsettled Mariner unless I draw something even better. But I think the Unsettled Mariner is probably going to be my best play. Opponent plays a Bauble and then passes turn. I draw a Thalia. I'm still going to play the Unsettled Mariner. I'm more afraid of some of the creature spells in this deck than really any of the non-creature spells, so I think this will be a better card to get on the field. Get in for 1. Opponent cracks their fetch land, probably to get a Triome. No, they just went to get a Breeding Pool. They shock it in. Oh, it looks like my Unsettled Mariner is probably going to die by a Solitude. Well, that worked out for them. Okay. But I mean, I guess this Unsettled Mariner is working pretty well. They had to get rid of 2 cards to get rid of it. Okay, they play another fetch land. Oh, I have a feeling this is going to be a Wrenn 6. That means they had 2 really good cards for my first 2 cards. Unfortunate, but I do have a Rallier coming up, so this is why I like to run Rallier. It's too bad the Unsettled Mariner is not in the graveyard. It got removed from the game, but at least I can get either my land or my Noble back. I drew an Elite Spellbinder. Don't want to play that just yet. I don't want my opponent to fetch easily with their with their Ren 6. So I'm gonna play my Noble and hope that they'll spend a turn to kill it with the Ren 6. I don't know if that's the best play, but I guess that's not a great play because I don't know I'm gonna get a land next turn, so that's kind of a gamble. Maybe I should have played a land. It does do what I want, killing off the Noble rather than getting a land. And my opponent follows up with it's a fairy. Great. I've watched so many games online. It amazes me at how common it is in an 80 card deck for them to have a turn 2 Ren and a turn 3 Teferi. Okay, so thinking back on earlier parts of the game, my opponent is running a lot of cards that I think are in the Is It Murktide deck. So I remember there being a counter spell. So this is why I think I play the Collected Company now rather than in their turn. I'm sure they have some counters. The Lieutenant will protect itself and the Elite Spellbinder, which is really great for the Ren and 6. I don't want them to just get simply pinged off. The Elite Spellbinder gives me a couple of choices here. I get really indecisive. I think I end up picking the worst possible choice. I'm looking at Solitude. They can't play it. They need to draw another white card, so I'm not in a hurry to get rid of that. I think I should have got rid of the Expressive Iteration because that helped him find the best answers in the most efficient way. But instead, I am so preoccupied with trying to kill these Planeswalkers. I just want to make sure the snake doesn't hit the field and prevent me from attacking them. So that's why I make that choice. I think in hindsight, it's not a good idea. My opponent goes, they'll play the Expressive Iteration. An Unholy Heat comes out and kills off my Elite Spellbinder. I'm going to play Elite Spellbinder and get rid of one of their cards. I keep on theme and probably make the worst choice again. I get rid of the snake. Got to get rid of Ren and 6 or the Tree Lord will shoot off my Elite Spellbinder, and then I'll put out another 1/1. I'm in a pretty good position here. He does have 2 snakes upstairs. He has the ability to get another Snowland, so that's unfortunate, but I do have a good presence on the field. Another Collected Company would be great, but nope. Go ahead and get rid of the Teferi. I'll send 2 guys at the Teferi, and I'll send the Lieutenant at the opponent. Oh, they're playing the Solitude. That's right, I forgot that they had it. I think at this point it's pretty apparent I'm making some bad choices. I think I could be in a way better position at this point than I am. Luckily, I do get rid of Teferi. I'll put out another of my Sentinels. And since I lost some guys, I'll return somebody with a Rallier. I think I'm in a really good spot, though. I just need a Collected Company. Tax this Expressive Iteration. They finally have the 3rd Snowland, so now I have to worry about those snakes that are in exile. And they play a Dress Down. I mean, the good thing about Dress Down is that I don't have to worry about Solitude's lifelink, so I can swing in and it not be that big of a deal. Maybe I should even swung in with the Sentinels, I don't know, but I will get to hopefully get rid of the Solitude and get some damage in. He doesn't block at all, so that's real good. I wasn't sure if Dress Down stopped my Vanguard from getting its counters because I think it happens on the cast rather than being in play, but I didn't want to take the chance. And I went ahead and just put it in Thalia for another taxing piece. He attacks with the Solitude. I think we know what this means. Just awful. Just so bad. I'm glad I didn't put out the Vanguard. But man, at least I get 1 card off of it. Ends up being a land, not too helpful. Could really use a Collected Company. Oh, okay, great. I forgot that happened. Should probably sack this land if I knew what's good, but I do not do that. Luckily, it doesn't matter. Just not playing very well here. Yet I'm still in a decent position. Yet another snake. Why change my choices? Just gonna go ahead and throw that in exile again. So I got 3 snakes in exile I have to worry about. He has 3 snowlands. He's wiped my board. I really could use another collected company, but I think that's asking too much at this point. All right, I'm gonna swing in knowing full well that I'm gonna lose somebody to one of those snakes. Yeah, really looking back on it, I was in a really good position to probably put this game to rest, but I just did not do well with those Spellbinder picks. I go ahead and play the Hamlet. I get lucky and my opponent decides not to counter it. Probably not so lucky. He probably has a plan for it. Then my opponent plays Traverse and gets out an Omnath, which I thought is pretty odd. He was at 4 life. He gets himself down to 1 so he can get himself back up to 5. I guess he's just planning for future turns. Then he plays Wrenn 6. Gets back another one of his lands. Plays it. And then here is one of those snakes. I don't even remember what count we're on. Is that number 2 or number 3? Well, I don't know. Oh, so this is pretty cool. I have Elspeth. I could really use a Meddling Mage, but I think I've took them all out. So, but luckily he can't counter her. There's a lot of different ways I could go here. I was thinking about doing a +1 counter in First Strike, but I took a chance and I gambled to see what I could pull from the top. I really can only play Rallier and Touch of the Spirit Realm, so I use that to get rid of Omnath. I don't want his life getting too far up. And then I go ahead and just swing, because I need to keep him low so that if I get lucky and can squeeze in a well-timed Collected Company, I can steal this game from him. So he's down to 6, and I pass the turn. Ugh, a well-timed Unholy Heat. I wonder if he just drew that or if he's been holding on to it. I don't know. I play a Luminarch. I mean, it's getting really down to me scratching the bottom of the barrel type of thing here. It's not looking good. He plays the hopefully 3rd and final snake from his exile. Oh boy, this is a turn where my opponent just does a lot of great things for himself. Draws some cards, searches some cards, gets on Omnath, gains some life, produces an extra mana. It's just a very value-heavy turn for him here. It's looking really bad for me, but I'll give it my best shot. I have another Lavinia. At this point, she's not that helpful because my opponent has a million lands, and she gets countered anyways. Luckily, the creature I do have grows, so eventually I'll be stronger than Omnath. But there's an expressive iteration. I think we know where this is going. He's able to gain some life. Plays a ramp card that I think lets him draw. And then Solitude's my one and only creature. Bring me back to 20. Nice. Officially winning. Hits me for 5. And he puts Yorion, I think, in his hand here. Or no. Playing another 5 mana card. Oh, he's playing the Yorion. I must have missed him putting it into the hand. Blinks a bunch of stuff. Pretty much playing with his food now. I mean, I'm definitely lost. Looks like he has a counter spell up. Even if I would have had, say, a Collected Company, it probably wasn't going to get through. And sure enough, the Lieutenant is countered. So overall, I think I played the first game pretty well. The second game, I don't think I was going to win no matter what, but I probably shouldn't have given up so early. And then that third game, I made some poor decisions, and then I committed to those poor decisions. So I think I deserve a loss here. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and tell me what you liked about the game, and I'll catch you next time.